Hello, everybody. My name is Tim, and I'm an alcoholic. Super grateful to be here tonight. It's an honor to be asked to speak. Thank you, Greg, for that. My sobriety date is March 24th, 2018. That date is extremely important to me because, that is the date that I surrendered, my will over to this program, over to my Creator, and actually work this program, like my life depends on it, because it does, And that was one thing that I never wanted to admit, and that's the first step, I could get into the rooms and be sitting where you're all sitting and, tell everybody I admit I'm an alcoholic and my life is unmanageable, because at the time I've lost a job or I'm in a bad spot in my life. And then once I start getting a little bit back, I say, all right, I got what I need. Now I'm going to go do it on my own. And as you might know, maybe you don't, it never works out. For me, it never works out. I'm right back to where I was. And it's a miserable way to live, So I'll just start out a little bit, where I came from. I'm not going to go through everything just because I only got 10 minutes, and you'd be in here for a couple hours if I told you all my drunk-a-log or my drinking escapades or whatever you want to call it. I was raised in a good family, I didn't have, bad parents, I came from a good area. I just always was looking for acceptance from everybody. You had to like me. I had to be in that crowd, and for one reason or another, I always had something going on, with my, going on up here, and it was ever since I was a little kid, whether, you liked me or you didn't, I wanted you to, I had to have, I couldn't not have a person not like me, and that was, the beginnings of it. And, that gradually progressed into me, at 13, starting to dabble with, alcohol. I mean, I took my first drink when I was 5. I'm not saying I was getting wasted at 5, but, my brothers mixed up some stuff at the bar, and my dad's little wet bar, and, here, drink this, and, an hour later I'm throwing up because I didn't know what the hell I drank. It was like peach schnapps and scotch and, a mixture of whatever the hell they could find, and then, of course, give it to the youngest little brother, and here, you drink this. And so anyways, that's the beginnings of what, I got a taste of it. Did I like it at that time? No. And then 13, like a lot of others, is when I started dabbling with a lot of other stuff, I'm not going to get into that because this is a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, but, I started drinking heavy in high school. And so I decided to go in the Navy, and I thought that would be a good idea. I was like, yeah, I can control, what I'm going to do, and I'll grow up and be a man. Well, I don't know if you knew this or not, but you drink quite a bit in the Navy. So that didn't help matters at all, Got out of the Navy, just kept continuing on what I was doing, But alcohol always led my life. It was always to get to the weekend. It wasn't an everyday thing, at first, but when I hit, I'm just going to fast forward here, when I hit age 30, it turned into an everyday thing. I started losing jobs because of alcohol. I started losing relationships. I started, affecting my family with my drinking, It just started to, control and take hold of my entire life. And, I could sit there and tell you all day that I'm not an alcoholic. I can control this. I'm not an alcoholic. But the fact of the matter was, it was just as rare to see a sober Tim out on the streets as it is to see a Sasquatch out in the woods. It's like that's how it was. I was never sober. I would tell you maybe I was, but I was already, 8 drinks deep by the time I got to the party, Like, let's get this going. And then they're like, why is Tim, shit-faced over there? Excuse my language. I'm not supposed to cuss according to my sponsor. I like to take suggestion. But that was another funny thing. Let's really back up. Before this, I just thought of it when I looked over at Gregor's. When Greg did ask me to speak at this meeting, and it's something I never did in my previous, bouts of sobriety because I didn't, I just wanted to take. I just wanted to take parts of the program and use that for me. It was just that selfish self-centeredness. And, when Greg asked me to speak, I had just spoke a couple weeks ago at the domiciliary. It's the VA rehab. And, it was an honor, because it's something that I never did before. I never wanted to carry the message to anybody else. I just wanted to take what you guys had to say and then use that in my life and not help out the next suffering alcoholic. I just never, that wasn't part of me. I was too selfish. I had to get what I wanted. I had to get my job back. I had to get a truck. I had to get this. I had to get that, and it wasn't about anybody else. Today, it's a totally different story. I don't live that life anymore. I live the life of, helping out. And when Greg asked me to speak, I said, yeah, of course I'll speak. But I'm not perfect. So he said, unless you got anything else going on. So, of course, I start running stuff in my head where I'm like, well, actually, I do go play tennis on Wednesdays with my girlfriend. So, maybe I won't. And then Greg came into it. And then, of course, Spons is right there, and he hears me say it. And he's like, first thing he says is, coat and tie, when he hears I'm going to speak. And then, I tell Greg, okay, well, if you can find somebody else, just let me know if you can't find anybody. So then Spons hears that, and it's, Tim, come here, I got to talk to you for a second. First thing I say to him is, I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to, you know what I mean? I'm going right back to my old ways of how I run the show, And it's like, he's like, well, since you know everything, then I don't need to tell you anything. But, what he did say, and what I thought he was going to say, it wasn't in the exact words, was just, when you're asked to speak, you say yes, because, it is an honor, to carry this message. It's something that's special. These rooms are special. And I'm extremely grateful to be, a member of Alcoholics Anonymous with all of you. I may not know all of you, but, I love everybody in this program because we're all working for a greater goal, and that is to stay sober and to stay alive, And it's just a powerful thing, And all the things that it has to offer that I was never willing to stick around to take in, It's just the service, Today I have commitments. That's another thing I'd never do. I'd never be a part. I'd come in, and once again I'll say it, I was a taker. I was 100% taker. I'd come in, I'd never put money in the basket. I would always come in and I'd probably leave early, if I could. I was on my phone 99% of the time, and it's just because I was there to take, and get what was mine, and then I'm going to go out and do my own thing. So today, I work this program in a completely different way, I wake up every single morning, and, I have a conscious contact with my Creator, and that's the first thing I do to start my day. I got a routine. And it's the first thing to do to start my day, I say my prayers, and I get ready for the day, and, if something comes up, then, I might say a little prayer, Thy will, my Creator, not mine be done, throughout the day. It's just, that's a huge part that I always left out too. That's what I would always push away. And the whole service aspect of it. Giving back, just always helping out somebody else, and that service goes in all aspects of my life. It's not just here in the rooms. I carry this outside into my normal life. And that was another thing. You guys would see this fake Tim in the rooms where I'm like spitting this awesome game, and it's just all a bunch of bull. It's just a pile of crap. I'm just hearing what another person said. And I'm taking that, and I'm going, oh, that's going to be good for me to say if somebody asks me to share next meeting. And then, oh, you said something good too. It's like, okay, I'll stockpile that away. And then the next time somebody asks me to speak, they're going to think I'm a badass, dude. That's going to be cool. And then I get outside the meeting, and somebody would be like, I really liked your share today. And I'm like, you're damn right you did, because it was good. But it was nothing original, and it was nothing that I worked. I didn't work what I said, It was just, I don't know what I was doing, I'm coming in, it's the whole half measures thing. I'm half-assing it because I want you to like me. It just goes back to the beginning, what I was saying, the messed up part about the whole thing is this is my life, This is going to kill me, but this disease tells me that it's not. You know, it says, no, you can go out and you can have another drink. You know, one day you're going to drink again. And then I get outside the rooms and boom, straight back to the hospital. And that's what leads me up to, you know, what got me here was the last year of my life in drinking is when it got real bad. And I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but I'm just kind of going with what I got. But the last year of my drinking was, you know, strictly in and out of the emergency room. I mean, there's times I was in the emergency room, I didn't even know I was there. I came back the next day, and he's like, "You're back again." And I was going through weeks and weeks of blackouts because I was continuously waking up. You know, if I didn't have any alcohol left over from the night before, I was going straight to the liquor store at 6 a.m. And, you know, I had my spots, you know, because I didn't want anybody to think I was too much of an alcoholic. When they know damn well if you're coming to get alcohol at 6 in the morning, you're pretty bad. And they would tell me that, and I just, "Are you all right?" And I'd just be like, "Yeah, I'm fine, just give me this." And I'm sitting there like shaking and freaking out. But anyway, so in and out of the emergency room, I got up here, and, I went to the domiciliary, and I did that for 4 months, and that's the VA rehab. And I got out of there, and I just took my will back. I said, I don't need a sponsor. I don't need meetings. I got what I needed to get from there, still being that, you know, that whole taker mentality. Got an apartment, started going to school at Yavapai, started doing everything I thought I needed to do, you know, and that all fell apart again. I was back in the emergency room over at the VA twice in a week. Then I continued to drink, got a DUI, got pulled over by the cop. Why'd you pull me over? He's like, well, first you got called in, and second, you hit the curb right in front of me. But I'm still asking him, why did you pull me over? You know, thinking in my mind I might be able to get out of this. But, you know, it was the best thing that ever could have happened in my life, you know, because I never had any consequences whatsoever. And, I mean, of course, I dished out consequences that I couldn't see because I was being selfish and self-centered, you know, like I was emotionally destroying my family. I was emotionally destroying my friends. You know, it was never physical abuse, but it was damn sure was, mental and emotional abuse. And I never saw it like that because I could only see what I was doing. And my brother told me that one day. He's like, do you know what you're doing to Mom? I was like, I'm not doing anything to Mom. I'm up here in Prescott. I'm 150 miles away, 110 miles, whatever it is, and I'm not doing anything. And you know, in all actuality, I am. You can destroy lives from 3,000 miles away if somebody lived in New York City. But, you know, it's the seriousness of this disease, and when you're full into it, you don't see that. You don't want to see that. I just want to get what's mine and do whatever. So anyways, get to the point of my surrender. You know, I got that DUI. I went to jail for the night. I got out, and I immediately continued to drink. And I drank myself right back into the emergency room again. And at that point, and call me on time. What do I got, a couple minutes? Yeah. 3 minutes? Okay. I'm just guessing 3, maybe. And so it's hard to pack it into 10 minutes, but, you know, it's fine. Once again, I'm extremely grateful to be here. It's awesome. So I got to the point where I was at the hospital, and I was in there for 5 days detoxing. They would pump me full of, you know, whatever, and 20 IV bags and this and that and the other. And I stepped out of that hospital, and the doctor had told me, listen, I'll talk to them at the Dom again if you want to get back in there, if you want to change your life. But it's a waste of my time if you're going to walk out of this hospital and you're going to go straight back to your house. So I don't even want to call them if you don't want to do it. And I said, yeah, I want to do it. So I got out of the hospital, and I sat there on the bench right in front of the VA looking at the Dom. They're in the same area. If you've ever been to the VA speaker meeting, it's all just centrally located on that base. And I looked over at the Dom, and I looked at my phone, and I knew I had $1,500 left in the bank still. And it was like, call an Uber and get home and drink yourself to death, or go to the Dom, surrender to my God, my Creator, and start this new chapter in your life. And at that moment, I did that. And I walked over there, and that was the minute, the second, the day right there when I just said, God, allow me to live by your will, because this is not working for me. How many times can you be told you're going to die and continue to do this, you know? So, you know, that was an amazing day for me, you know, and that was March 24th. And, And so, today it is such an amazing blessing to work this program of Alcoholics Anonymous in my life. It is, just right here, all these steps, of course, just working these principles in my life. But 10, 11, 12, and of course, working all the other steps throughout, when it calls for it. That's what's so great about this. That's why it's such a beautiful design for living, for me. And it's something that I never, like I said before, I never wanted to get to, But just that conscious contact, and continually, when I make a wrong, just make it right away, because that's the life I'm trying to live. I'm not trying to hold back. I'm as sick as my secrets. And if I'm not going to come out and tell the person that I've harmed, as soon as it's been done, or, a moment later, maybe a day later, whatever the case may be, and I'm not going to reach my hand out to the next suffering alcoholic and practice these principles in all my affairs, then I'm just here for a short period, and I'm going to go back and do the same thing, and I don't want to do that, So, like I said, it's just a blessing and an honor to be here. It's a beautiful design for living, and I'm going to keep coming back because my life depends on it. Thank you for letting me speak tonight.